Hello there you gorgeous gamers, and welcome back to Pure Play TV, and today we're doing something a little different, a retro review. We needed a weekend feature to keep the content running while we spend the weekend playing games, so we're digging into the past for some clicks and doing some retro reviews each and every Sunday, or until we get sick of playing old games and we call it a day. In this opening episode, we're looking at the SEGA classic, Crazy Taxi. I've been practicing that all week. For starters, let's see where we can actually play this ancient curio from generations past. PC is the obvious option, but on console, it's a tale of two halves. On Xbox, you can play the 360 version across all Xbox consoles. So if you have a 360 lying around, you can play it on that. Or if you have an Xbox One or a Series XS, you can play it there too, thanks to backwards compatibility. On PlayStation, there are options, but you're a bit more limited. You can play on PS3, PS4 or PS5. However, on PS4 and PS5, you can only play the game via streaming with PlayStation Now, or you can play it on PC via PS Now. If your internet is decent, you can play the game really nicely, but it's still not quite as good as playing it on a local console, so for me, Xbox Series XS is where I typically get my fix of Crazy Taxi, though I do play it on occasion on PS Now on my PC. So, what is Crazy Taxi? Crazy Taxi is a racer with a difference. Rather than racing other cars, you're constantly racing the clock as you ferry passengers around the city. You've got two timed modes, arcade and original, and honestly, I can't tell you what the difference is between them. For all intents and purposes, they're identical. Within each one are a few gameplay options. You can play by arcade rules, which means that you keep building your time with each person delivered, or you can choose to work for a set amount of time, be it 3, 5 or 10 minutes. There's also another mode, but I f***ing hate it, because it demands you to pull off driving stunts. I wouldn't mind if the controls weren't so convoluted, even the descriptions for the moves are confusing, but if you want to get the trophy or the achievement set, you'll have to get good. Back in its day, there wasn't really anything like Crazy Taxi, at least not until The Simpsons Hit and Run came along and did the exact same thing. For a long while then, it stood alone, and it actually began life in arcades. I can remember it being one of my favourite arcade machines to feed coins to whenever we would go to the cinema. It was also one of the only games that actually worked in the crappy cinema arcade. The others had been vandalised by the local scumbag chavs. The first home console port was to the Dreamcast, which I never owned. But it's also eventually released on the PS2 and the GameCube, with the latter being where I used to play as a kid. Gameplay is simple. You pick a car and driver, and then you hit the streets in search of fares. People who need to be shipped around are easy to spot in their coloured circles, with the colour of their circle determining the difficulty and distance of their desired journey. You get a set amount of time to complete the fare, and the quicker you do it, the more money you'll earn. You can also earn bonus cash during the journey by performing crazy stunts, having near misses with traffic, and generally driving like a bit of a loon, but without crashing. The gameplay was strong 20 years ago, and it's just as strong today. It holds up quite well, even if the presentation is more than a little dated. The graphics have not come along well, and here in the present, they're definitely showing their age. That's not to say that the game is an unplayable, blurry, muddy mess. It's not. It's okay, and the main focal point of your attention, your chosen taxi, still looks pretty good, and that's the main thing. Some aspects of the game are well beyond dated though, and quite jarring, like the constant pop-in of new vehicles and roads, but for its day, it was still really good, and we never moaned about such things back then, so it's not really fair to hold this classic up to the same standards of today. There's also the issue of the music and locations in the game. Due to the licensing agreements expiring, and SEGA not wanting to pay for them again, the modern versions of Crazy Taxi have different soundtracks and generic locations. So instead of dropping the pervert pasta off at Pizza Hut, you take him to the Pizza Shack, or whatever it's called. It's not a big deal, and it's not affecting gameplay in any kind of way, but as a kid, I always thought it was cool that KFC was in a video game. I was a stupid kid. Replayability comes in the form of chasing high scores and going for the trophies and achievements. There's no local multiplayer, but you can pass the controller between players and record your scores using the in-game leaderboard, which is what me and the lady of the house have been doing on our Saturday nights. Yeah, we are wild. You try having an adult life with a kid during lockdown. It's not possible. Crazy Taxi is still a really good game, even if it hasn't aged terribly well. There's a modern successor in the form of Taxi Chaos, and it really does stand to be the de facto taxi racing game. Is that a genre? I don't know. It's a genre now. Unless Sega does something to bring back the beloved Crazy Taxi name. And that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it of some use. It was just a bit of fun, and it's nice sometimes to go back through the older games and see how they stand up to modern tastes. We'll have another retro review every Sunday, so be sure to come on over and enjoy a lazy Sunday with us. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe buttons below and the bell icon so that you're notified whenever we've got new stuff. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye bye.